Hi there. This video is going to be about Sweet Home Alabama. This one's going to look at the various guitar parts that you play during the song, and then I'm going to do a video for the solo, a separate video for the solo. So this is the introduction. So it starts off with a D chord, and you're going to play the D string, the G string, and the B string. So you hit the open D twice, and then you play the B string, then the G string. Then you come down to the third fret of the A string with your second finger, and you do a kind of third string, open, third fret, open, third fret. So it kind of goes. And then you do the same thing on the bottom string. Third fret, open, third fret. So. And then you do this series of hammer-ons and pull-offs. So it's all on the open strings and second frets. So you start with an open A, and you hammer onto the second fret. Then you play an open D, hammer onto the second fret. Play the D string open, back to the second fret of the A string, and then you go to the G string and you pull off from the second fret to the open string like this. Now, because you're using hammer-offs and pull-offs, you're not picking a lot of it. So I think that's for when I play it. I have three uses of the pick. The first one is when I hit the open A, which you then hammer on to. Then you play the open D, and I would do that as a hammer on, then to pull off without playing it, and then hit the second fret of the A string again to play a B, and then for the G string you're playing the second fret, so you'd pick that, and then you'd pull off. So. And then for the next bit you play the same opening chords. And then you're going to do a run up the G string again with pull off. So you hit the open G, hammer onto the second fret, and then off again, and then play the open G so it goes G, A, G, G, B, G, G, and then C. So that's the second fret, fourth fret, and finishes on the fifth fret. Now on the record he does a little kind of pinch harmonic, which you get by pushing down with your plectrum on the string to get that slightly high-pitched squeak there. But I've got to be honest and say I'm not really very consistently good with pinch harmonics. So if I was playing this with my band, I probably even try to be brutally honest with you, but I wouldn't guarantee it would hit every time. So those two together go. And then you play that first one again. And at the end, the last two G's, you just kind of hit the third fret of the bottom string, and then you kind of play that bit of the chord, the D string, G string, and B string. Now when you're playing that, and I don't consistently, sometimes you can't hear the open string, but there's a wee pause there. So, and according to everybody I've been watching who does tabs for these things, it does have that. I have to say that up until quite recently I would have just played that twice, but there definitely is something going on there where he's pulling on and going back on again. So that's the intro. Now that's the only time you actually play that riff, even though that's the kind of famous Sweet Home Alabama riff. So for the verses, you're hitting the open string again twice, but this time you're just playing across these two strings. And then same with the C and the G. And that's how the guitar plays through the verse. And then the first run is a much simpler run with an open A to a B. Then you play the D string open, the G string open, and then you hammer back on the A string again to the second fret. So it goes. But you play that G string twice, so you go. second time you just do that G with the 2 hits, and then the third time you do the little run. So the little run comes in the first time you play it, and the third time you play it, and the second time and the fourth time you just hit the chords like that. Now after that there's not a chorus, it goes into this. And that is, this is a D bar chord, and that D bar chord consists of these 3 strings. But within that D bar chord is an F sharp, which is played up here on the 9th fret. So what you do is you run up from the 7th to the 9th, playing the 8th in between. So 7, 8, 9, and then do a mini bar across the D string, G string, and B string, and play that twice. And then you do a pull off from the 9 to the 7. So 7, 8, 9, mini bar, 9, 7, then slide it down to the 5th fret and do the same thing as if it was a C chord. So you hammer on from the 5 to the 7 on the A string, and then you play across the D, G, and B string on the 5th fret, and then you do a hammer on the open A to the B. So that's like the little, the run at the end of the bits of the verse. And you finish on a G. Now one guitar of the 3 guitars that play on the record then does a little harmonic, which you get by resting your fingers gently above the 12th fret. So normally when you play just behind the fret, but when you want to do a harmonic, you just rest your fingers on the strings above the 12th fret, and you play the D, G, and B strings. So it goes, and then same again, do it twice. 7, 8, 9, little bar, 9, 7, 5, 7, open to the 2nd fret. So that's open A to B, open D, G twice, and then hit the 3rd fret of the bottom string, which is a G. Now you don't have to do the harmonic, that's a different guitar that does that. So that's that wee run. Then we come back into the 2nd verse again. Now at the end of that verse, before you go into the chorus, there's a drum roll with 8 notes, and over those 8 notes you play a variation of that hammer on, hammer off, which is so and that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're playing a note for each roll of the drum. So you're starting on the open A, and you're hammering onto the 2nd fret, then you play the open D, open G, and then 2nd fret of the D string, pulled off to the open, and then hammer on open A to the 2nd fret. So it goes. So, and that only ever plays at the end of the verse before you go into a chorus. Now the chorus is a shuffle rhythm, so you've got your first finger on the 5th fret of the A string, and you've got your 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the D string, and then you're putting your pinky onto the 9th fret to get that. But you don't go, the first one is a kind of pause, so there's a wee pause at the beginning of each. And that one you play it on. So you do it on the 5th fret, you then come down to the 3rd fret, so it's basically that's your D chord, that's your C chord, and then down to the bottom 2 strings, your G chord, so. Now this one, again a variation, uses the 3rd fret for some reason, when the other ones all use the 2nd fret. So it goes, so it does a hammer on the open A to the B, then a hammer on open D to the E, so 2nd fret for each. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plays that C. Actually, when I say I don't know why, it's because the other guitar goes. And so that third fret ties in with that chord, going back up to that chord before the next sequence of the verse. So it's chorus, sorry. So it's hammer on, hammer on to the second fret, hammer on to the second fret on the D string, open D, and then a C with a wee pause, and then it goes. So that's 5 times you're going to play. You're going to hammer on from the open D to the second fret, and then play the open G. So again, you're only picking the ones when you play the open strings. For the hammer on, you don't need to pick it. And then it goes back to the... And that's how it finishes. Again, like the verse is the last bit, it's just the G. So the whole verse goes. Except when the chorus goes into the first solo, right at the end of that chorus it does an F and then a C before it goes back into the... So that would go... And at the point it goes, the solo begins with a... But the solo will be a different video. So hopefully that's... And now everything beyond that, it just repeats. The choruses repeat, it does that. Again after the second solo, and then after the last chorus it's a kind of a little piano solo, so which I've kind of worked out slightly on the guitar, but it doesn't sound as good as it does on the piano. So there you go. So that's all the parts for Sweet Home Alabama. The next video I shall do the first guitar solo. So something to look forward to.